When an elderly woman approached Christine, a pharmacy attendant, asking for assistance in purchasing her prescription drugs, she was confronted with a difficult choice. Compassionate, Christine chose to cover the cost of the drugs, but the manager fired her before she could defend her decision. But when the pharmacy owner himself intervenes and vows to alter the plot, things take an unexpected turn. The distinctive creaking of the heavy, slightly rusted door marked the start of yet another business adventure at the venerable neighborhood pharmacy, which had been providing decades of service to the people living in that quaint neighborhood. For just 6 months, Christine served as an attendant among the shelves stocked with prescription drugs and a variety of personal necessities. Even though it had only been a short time, she had already won over the hearts of the mostly older guests. In the midst of the daily grind, her care and attention to every individual who entered that establishment felt like a warm embrace. Time had already left its mark on the gentle face of the pharmacy's proprietor, Mr. Edgar. His health and once strong personality now showed the effects of a life spent working nonstop since the pharmacy's founding. The now old man had given it everything he had to make it a sustainable business, a real legacy for the neighborhood. Each furrow on his face conveyed a tale of selflessness and commitment. Over the years, every silver hair observed the struggles and triumphs. That morning, Mr. Edgar gathered the pharmacy staff. He had an important announcement to make, and he wasn't alone. Standing beside him was a young man with a proud posture and a challenging gaze. "Dear employees," Mr. Edgar began, his voice resonating with the wisdom of years of experience. "I have been postponing my retirement from the leadership of this pharmacy for a long time. The time has come to pass the baton of this beloved business." A murmur of surprise and apprehension echoed among the employees as they all awaited the next words of the beloved gentleman with anticipation. "As of today," he continued with a proud look mixed with a hint of nostalgia, "my nephew, Gerald, will take over the management. I have full confidence in his abilities to lead this pharmacy with the same dedication and passion that I have dedicated over the years." Young Gerald, with his confident posture, couldn't hide the victorious smile forming on his lips. "I'll still be around," the elderly man said, placing his hand on his nephew's shoulder with a gesture of trust and affection, "to guide and support whenever needed. But from now on, you'll report to him." Mr. Edgar had always been a beloved figure in the pharmacy, both by the staff and loyal customers. His kindness and attention to detail were legendary, and his absence from the daily life of the establishment would certainly be felt. However, time brings inevitable changes, and it was time for a new phase in the pharmacy's history. All eyes now turned to Gerald, the new leader, hoping he could honor his uncle's legacy. As Gerald took over the pharmacy, it became evident that his values differed significantly from those of his uncle, Edgar. While the pharmacy used to be a haven where the community felt welcomed and valued, Gerald saw things more pragmatically. For him, what mattered was the flow of customers and efficiency in service. Elderly customers, who frequented the establishment not only for medications but also for friendly conversation, now found themselves receiving impersonal and rushed treatment. For Gerald, every minute spent on unnecessary conversation represented a loss of time and, consequently, profit. New procedures were implemented, drastically changing the personal and welcoming dynamics that once prevailed in the pharmacy. Employees who had previously stood out for their attention and care for customers now found themselves pressured to prioritize speed and efficiency over any form of personal interaction. The warm and familiar atmosphere that had once defined the place gave way to an aura of impersonality and indifference. The new dynamics at the pharmacy posed a particularly difficult challenge for Christine, a sensitive and caring woman by nature. For her, each customer was not just another number to be served, but a person with unique stories, concerns, and experiences. Many of the older customers liked to share details of their lives while waiting for their medications, venting about their illnesses, daily challenges, or simply seeking a moment of human connection. For Christine, quickly dismissing these customers without a friendly word was a real sacrifice. She saw in the tired eyes of the elderly the need for an attentive and compassionate ear, and the new impersonal environment of the pharmacy left her dismayed. "Christine, I need to talk to you. Please come to my office," Gerald announced firmly in his voice. When Christine opened the office door, she found Gerald staring at the computer, not even looking at her as he began to speak. "Christine, I'll be straightforward. I've analyzed your numbers from last month, and you have the worst performance among the staff. Your service time is significantly longer than others. Even after my guidance to be more efficient, you continue to waste time with unnecessary conversations with customers." Christine tried to justify herself. "Gerald, every customer has a story, and—" But she was interrupted by the young manager. "I don't care about that," he declared, cutting her off unceremoniously. "This is your final warning. If I catch you wasting time listening to the trivialities these old folks have to say, you'll be fired." Despondent, Christine left that meeting feeling helpless and misunderstood. There was a special reason for her dedication to listening to the stories of older customers. She vividly remembered the years she spent with her grandmother, a beloved figure who had passed away a few years ago. It was a caring pharmacy attendant who, in a casual conversation, alerted her grandmother to the possibility of her having diabetes. This simple exchange of words encouraged her grandmother to undergo tests, which confirmed the early diagnosis of the disease and allowed for effective treatment that significantly improved her quality of life. Now it was Christine who was in a position to help someone, just as that attendant had helped her grandmother. She understood the value of a friendly and empathetic conversation, not just as a gesture of courtesy, but as an opportunity to make a difference in someone's life, just as they had in her grandmother's life. It didn't take long for Christine to be put to the test, facing the dilemma of following her convictions or obeying Gerald's orders. The pharmacy was crowded with customers when a kind elderly woman approached her. "My dear, could you help me purchase this medicine?" the elderly woman said, handing her the prescription. "I'm really a bit confused. For the past few years, my son has been buying my medicines, but he traveled for work this month, and I forgot to tell him that my medicines were running out. You see, I have high blood pressure, and I really can't go without my medications." The elderly woman continued, visibly worried. As Christine listened attentively to her words, she felt Gerald's stern gaze on her. The pressure to be more efficient and not waste time on unnecessary conversations hung in the air. But the elderly woman's need for attention and help was undeniable. "You know, young lady, I've been a long-time customer of this pharmacy. But as I mentioned, now it's my son who buys my medicines. By the way, is Mr. Edgar still running this place? I was very good friends with his wife," the elderly woman continued, even though she already had the medications in her hands. "Unfortunately, Mr. Edgar has retired," Christine replied with a nostalgic smile, remembering the days when the former owner guided the establishment with wisdom and kindness. Christine noticed Gerald approaching as she escorted the elderly woman to the checkout for payment. When they got there, the elderly woman began frantically rummaging through her purse for her wallet. "Just wait a moment. I can't find my wallet. I can't imagine where I might have left it," said the elderly woman, pulling out a multitude of items from her purse in search of the wallet. Meanwhile, the line for payment was growing, and Gerald's oppressive gaze betrayed his dissatisfaction with the delay in service. "I really didn't bring my wallet," the elderly woman continued, now with a look of concern and anxiety. "I won't be able to buy the medicine, and with this hot day, I don't think I'll be able to come back today." Christine felt the weight of the situation, knowing that the elderly woman depended on that medication for her health. "I have an idea. You can take the medicine. It's on the house," said Christine with a warm smile, determined to help the elderly woman. "How kind of you, young lady. As soon as I see Edgar, I'll tell him he has a great employee," replied the elderly woman, visibly touched by Christine's generosity. With a farewell wave, she left the pharmacy carrying not only the medication she needed, but also the memory of the attendant's compassionate gesture. It didn't take even a minute for Gerald to call Christine for a conversation. "Christine, I had warned you about your service, and you did exactly the opposite. Not only did you chat with that lady, but you also paid for the medication. Are we now a charity house?" Gerald exclaimed, with a clear expression of displeasure on his face. "Gerald, I will pay for the medication," Christine replied. "I'd already made a note for it to be deducted from my salary." Despite Christine's arguments, there was nothing that could dissuade Gerald from his inflexible decision. "Take your things. You're fired," declared Gerald, his voice firm and uncompromising, making it clear that there was no room for negotiation. The attendant was somewhat disoriented by the situation and left with a mix of emotions. She had followed her convictions, helping that lady, but now she found herself unemployed, questioning if her decision had been correct. However, the story still held an unexpected twist. Just 30 minutes after Christine's dismissal, Mr. Edgar, the pharmacy owner, arrived at the scene. "Where is Christine?" he asked, looking for the employee. His nephew, Gerald, then informed him that he had just fired her, leaving Edgar visibly surprised and perplexed by the news. The young manager explained to his uncle about Christine's alleged lack of professionalism. "Gerald, I came here because my wife just received a call from an old and dear friend of hers, a woman who was a teacher to both of my children," Mr. Edgar began, interrupting Gerald's explanation. "She called to praise Christine's service and reinforce how our pharmacy, despite the years, still maintained the same personal atmosphere as before. And I came personally to praise her, and now you tell me you fired her for doing exactly what makes this pharmacy so enduring?" Mr. Edgar said with indignation. "It seems to me that you don't understand the spirit of this place. Unfortunately, I think I made a mistake trusting you with my legacy," Mr. Edgar declared, disappointed with his nephew's hasty decision. Immediately, Mr. Edgar picked up the phone and called the recently dismissed Christine, asking her to return to the pharmacy. When she arrived, there was something truly surprising waiting for her. "Christine, I apologize for your mistaken dismissal," Mr. Edgar began, sincerity in his voice. "My nephew Gerald no longer works as the pharmacy manager. Now I need someone to replace him. Would you accept to be the new pharmacy manager?" Christine was completely stunned by the unexpected offer. She could hardly believe that, after everything that had happened, she was now being invited to manage the place she loved so much. With tears in her eyes, she accepted the offer, ready to honor Mr. Edgar's legacy. Christine felt the result of her empathy and generosity. Her kind gesture not only turned around a tough situation for her, but also led to a unique opportunity to take on a leadership role in the pharmacy she loved so much. This experience was a powerful reminder that even if our acts of kindness aren't always immediately recognized, we should keep practicing them, knowing that the seeds we sow will eventually bear fruit. Sometimes the seeds we plant may take time to sprout, but when they do, the positive impact they generate can be long-lasting and transformative. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment with a number from 1 to 5 to let us know how much you liked the story. Also, watch the video that is currently on your screen. See you soon.